Hello and welcome back to our tutorial series on how to use FreeCAD. Before we go into modeling with FreeCAD, we need to first get FreeCAD. So you can see I'm right here on Google. In case you're wondering how do I get FreeCAD installed on my device, so just type into Google download FreeCAD, and once that comes up, usually the first thing is what you click, and I already have it loaded up here. Now there are different versions of FreeCAD, but as at the time of this recording, the current stable release is 1.0.0. So this was released last year, and it has really been a game changer in the FreeCAD ecosystem. Now, depending on the operating system that you are using, you should download either the Windows or the Mac or the Linux. So depending on what you use, you could download the installer for Windows or the portable 7-zip file. This portable file is just that you'll be able to run it out of the package without needing to install it at all. For Mac, you can download if you're on Apple Silicon or Intel, and then for Linux you can download the same way. You can also choose to download the nightly release versions. These are the development versions that have the latest updates and all of that. But if you are a beginner, I don't recommend you doing that, because sometimes development builds may be slower, may consume more memory, they may crash. So even the stable release sometimes crashes. We'll get into that in a few minutes, but they are still more stable than development versions. So I would encourage you to download any of this depending on what operating system that you are running FreeCAD on. So I already have FreeCAD installed and downloaded on my device. When you first load FreeCAD, this is what it brings to you. So it says welcome to FreeCAD, and it allows you to select some basic things. For instance, the language. So my language is English, and I prefer that. In case you are using you are more convenient with any other language, you can select that. Unit system. The unit system that I use is standard, millimeter, kilogram, seconds, degrees. In case you are from any other part of the world that uses something else, you can always choose that here. And then for the navigation style, I prefer to use gesture because I am recording this on my laptop, and usually it's just more convenient for me to use gesture if I don't have a mouse with me. So I can't carry a mouse around every time, and this is one of the advantages that I see of FreeCAD over some other CAD software. Some other CAD softwares, you're just stuck with a single way of navigation, but here you can choose what you want. So let's say you're already used to Blender, you could choose Blender. If you're already used to Revit, you could choose Revit. This navigation style is how you move around in the software. So I'll show you that in a minute. I'll just click done, but before I click done, you can also see that you can change the theme either from light to dark, but I'll keep it at light. I like the light theme. So done. And here, usually if you have not yet done anything, I have some files here because I've created some things, but what you really have are the example files usually on your device. So I will just go into one of the example files and show you a little bit of how the interface looks like. So now you have FreeCAD all set up, and this is an example file. Now you see this example file, you can do different things to it. But before I show you how to do different things to it, I want to show you how to navigate. In case you are wondering, okay, so how do I move this thing around? Maybe you're already clicking your mouse in different places, or you're already dragging and things like this are happening. You're wondering, okay, so how do I know which is which? Well, a simple way to know how to navigate is by hovering your mouse over this. This is the same navigation style that we saw earlier. So for instance, if I click this, I can still change my navigation style. So it's not like a one-time thing. I can change it anytime I want. For instance, if I have a mouse connected, I usually prefer to select CAD, this CAD. But since I don't have a mouse connected, I just use gesture. So depending on whatever you select, irrespective of what you select, when you hover on the navigation style, it shows you the different things that you can do. So you can select. When you select, just a single click would select whatever object that you are doing. If you want to zoom, you just need to spread your two fingers. Rotate, you need to click and drag. Pan, you need to click and or you click with both fingers and drag and then tilt, you see that symbol there. So it also shows the equivalent for if you are using a mouse as well, but I'm using a trackpad, so that makes it easy for me. So I can easily zoom in and out. I can rotate around this point just by doing what I have seen in the display here. So take some time to get used to the navigation, because you're going to be working in this space a lot, and that would help you and help your journey in FreeCAD. So now let's go into adjusting some of the basic preferences. This is the FreeCAD window, and you will see many things here. These are toolbars, different tools that you can use. Right now we are in something called the Path Design Workbench. So the way FreeCAD operates is that we have different workbenches, and all the workbenches are here in this selector here. So if I click on it, you can choose between different workbenches. And what I want you to understand is that a workbench is just a collection of tools for that particular theme. So for instance, for the path design workbench, we have all these tools that will enable us to create a path. If I go into something like the let's say Sketcher workbench, it has all these tools too, most of which are not even activated because we are not in the right space to sketch. So let me show you how the Sketcher tools would really look like if we are in the right space to sketch. So let me just open up an existing sketch. So now you see this sketch, we are in the Sketcher workbench. It has automatically transitioned to the Sketcher workbench once we open up a sketch. And how I opened up that sketch was just to double click on it. So it opens up the sketch. Don't worry if you don't understand what this is yet. It's going to become clearer as we go on. So you can see that all these tools are different from what we had in the Path Design workbench. So just like your normal workbench too, where if you have 3 or 4 workbenches inside your workshop, it's likely that you have different tools on different workbenches. That is the same way FreeCAD has grouped different tools under different workbenches. It sometimes makes things easier to handle, but it can be complex when you look at it at first. So let's go to preferences to set some of the important preferences. If you're on a Windows or a Linux, your preferences may be under maybe Edit. Check the Edit tab or File. It may be under this, but for Mac, our preferences is here, and we just click on Preferences. So you can see in my preferences, I have quite a few options, and I'm not going to go through the entire thing. For instance, you see the language here that we set earlier, this default unit system, so you can always change that. The number of decimal places, the number format, this is following the format of my operating system, and I'm going to leave it like that. Different things that you can do. When you come to documents, it shows you different things, and what I would just like to highlight here are some of the important things I usually set when I'm configuring a new FreeCAD workspace. So because I know that sometimes FreeCAD is prone to crash, I usually set this auto recovery information at maybe like 5 minutes. So 5 minutes is good for me, because I know that okay, even if it crashes, that means that maximum I lose 5 minutes of work. And then of course I have this run auto recovery at startup enabled, so that once I reload it again, then I know that it's going to give me an option to be able to recover the work that I was doing previously. The next thing that I'm going to go into is display. I just want to show you how the display looks like, this display tab. Now there is something crucial. In some other CAD softwares, the background is not usually white. In fact, I'm not really used to a white background. Sometimes I use the white background like that, but let's see, can I change it? So if I come to colors here, I can change it if I want to change it to a simple color, but I usually don't like a simple color. I like something like a linear gradient, and I like the default options. So I'm going to click on apply. Let me see, would that do anything? And it's still loading. So you see that gives me a beautiful linear gradient over there, and I like it like that. So because the white sometimes can hurt the eyes for me personally, so I like the linear gradient like that. And another thing that I will do is just to come to these workbenches, and for now I want you to make sure that path design is selected. In fact, it's auto-loaded. There's no even option to deselect it. I want to make sure that path workbench is selected, and I want to make sure that sketcher workbench is selected, and tech draw workbench is selected. All the other workbenches too are fine, but in case you can't find any of those workbenches in your selector here, just come to the preference tab, available workbenches, and select whatever workbench it is that you want to select. So I am going to click on OK. I think for now let's leave these preferences at this, but there are a lot of things that you can do under preferences to adjust and to change. From time to time we'll still come here over the course of the series, but let's leave it at this for now. So still setting up our workbench, I always like to set up my space before I start working. Knowing where my tools are helps me to work faster, a lot faster. So let's just go over some quick things. You have this file here, and here you can do new, open, save as, import, export, just the basic things, print and export PDF. Those can be very useful sometimes. When you want to navigate under edit, you have all these different options. Just take your time to go through all of these different things. Under views, you have standard view. I want to go to draw style. So in drawing style, sometimes it is helpful to see this isometric view or this displayed object like this, shaded as it is. But at some other times it's not helpful to see it shaded. Sometimes I want to see the hidden lines. For instance, you see how this brings it out. Let me go back to drawing style. So that's hidden line. If I go to wireframe, it gives me the wireframe of the object. If I go to points, it just gives me only the points of the object. I don't know, I've never really used this before, but maybe at some point it will become useful. But what I want you to just note is that shortcuts are a way to make your work faster. So in front of all of these tools, the ones that have shortcuts, you will see it in front. For instance, this is Command D, this is VO, VP. So if I want to change the drawing style, you can see that the drawing styles, we have V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6, V7. So I don't need to keep coming up to view and then change this and then view and then change that. I can just type on my keyboard V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. Is there V7? V7, I think that's the end. V1, V2, V7, V2. Okay, so that is giving me that. So I just wanted you to understand that. Then this viewing box or navigation box that I've been clicking since morning can also help you to navigate your object. So for instance, I can click here, majorly just clicking the arrows to see an exact view. So for instance, if I want to see the left view, okay, if I clipping here, I have the front view now. If I want to see this view, I can click on that. Sometimes it helps to position your object in a very beautiful way, but other times it can really set the object in an orientation that you don't want exactly, and it can be annoying sometimes. But once you get the hang of it, you can move things around quickly. So that's that about some of the usual tools. Another thing I want to talk about, still talking on shortcuts, is when you want to discover the shortcut of any tool, you can hover on it, and if that tool has a shortcut, it will show up. So this may not be evident in this path design workbench, but in the sketcher workbench there are a lot of shortcuts. So let me open up a sketch again. I will explain how to use sketches later on in a later video, so just stay with me on this. I want to show you the shortcuts right now. So if I want to learn the shortcut for this point tool now, so you can see create point G, Y. So what I do is to click on G, on my keyboard, press G and then press Y, G, Y, and it gives me the points tool. What about this polyline, GM? What about this line, GL? But you can imagine how serious this endeavor would be to try to learn all the shortcuts like this. So I went online in a bit to find something useful, and on one of the forums of FreeCAD, I found this shortcut cheat sheet. Basically, it's a single page. You can print it out and paste it in your workspace. Maybe it would help you, but I find it very helpful to use anytime I want to learn what the shortcuts are. And the truth is that once you get used to most of these shortcuts, your work becomes very, very easy and effortless. So maybe I will drop a link to this document in the description of the video below. And that leads me to another point. If you are facing any issues at all on FreeCAD, feel free to search it online. There's a likelihood that somebody in the forum has faced that issue at some point in time before, and the issue is already receiving attention. So you can just read up on what they are doing, on what is going on. So it will help your work many times. You can see this has been downloaded 644 times. That means a lot of people need these things, and a lot of people are using the software. So you are not alone in this journey. And that brings me, I believe, to a conclusion of this video. In the next video, we will be going into actually using the software to do some pretty interesting and amazing things. So I want you to click the subscribe button, click the like button if you like the video. I believe that this is a blessing to you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.